Let's dive in. Western Pizza Guest Hotline with Dante De Caria. How you doing, Dante?
Tegan, I'm doing very well. How are you doing?
Good. It's nice to see some baseball weather in the forecast, isn't it?
Yeah, it's actually raining right now, I guess, at the Pats office and near the Harvard Media Studio offices. But we've got a game tonight, so nice to finally get some water for the grass, maybe get it a little bit greener.
Yeah, that would be nice. But, I mean, baseball season is nipping at our heels here in Saskatchewan. We'll talk about that in a bit because I know you have a different / expanded role with the Regina Red Sox. But can we talk about the biggest story of the month, probably, the real deal, the sale? Obviously, with Brant now acquiring a piece of Real District, what does that mean for you and the Regina Pats?
Yeah, honestly, Tegan, I don't know a whole lot about the whole sale and the whole situation. I guess just kind of theoretically speaking, I think it's awesome. For the Brant Group of companies and Brant Sports and Entertainment to be able to control everything when it comes to the Brant Center and stuff like that is just more beneficial for the organization. Honestly, don't know how much I could say because I don't know a whole lot about the situation. Maybe I'm not the right person to ask, but I think it's exciting regardless.
I think for a lot of, Regina Pats fans at least, they're looking further down the road, infrastructure improvements and stuff like that. I know that you can't confirm or deny anything, but maybe there's a Memorial Cup hosting gig in our future, right? Like it's just now the world is our oyster, so to speak.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know what is kind of in store. Everything that you guys have seen in the media or on Twitter and stuff like that is everything I know. So maybe I'm not the right guy to ask when it comes to this stuff. But I think overall it's a positive for the organization, whether it's Red Sox or Regina Pats. But yeah, for Pats fans, I think, maybe some improvements to the rink will benefit the players. I think that's the big thing for me when I look at this. And I'm sure if you ask Dale, because the NCAA is driving a lot of players out of this league because of their facilities and the ability to recruit players at a young age and convince them to come to the Western Hockey League, whether it be for 1 or 2 or 3 years, is still better than not having those players at all. So the CHL is now having to compete with those elite NCAA programs that have the money and have the infrastructure and have the resources. And junior hockey obviously doesn't necessarily have some of those resources that those schools have, especially with the funds. I read a survey the other day that apparently the college football teams essentially pay for all the other NCAA sports teams at, say, a Penn State. So the Penn State football team will pay for the basketball teams and, hockey teams, facilities, funds, et cetera, which is like literally crazy. And that's how much money they make. So, I mean, they have that, right? And, unfortunately, junior teams don't have that.
So when we look at, let's go back to last week. WHL Prospects Draft took place. What stood out to you the most for the Pats class?
Well, I mean, drafting a goalie number 9 wasn't necessarily something that I kind of saw coming. I know the Pats haven't necessarily had an elite goaltender in a very, very, very long time. Max Paddock was, to me, the last really good goalie that the team had in recent memory. And then you go back to Tyler Brown, and then it had been a long time since Regina had a good goaltender. In fact, still the best goaltender in franchise history is Josh Harding, and he hasn't been here in a very long time. So the organization has not had very good luck with developing goaltenders and drafting goaltenders. And Dale Durkach has a little bit of history in drafting goaltenders in the top 10. He did it in 2014 when he was the director of player personnel with the Prince Albert Raiders. That player turned out to be pretty good, winning CHL Goaltender of the Year. So it's happened before, but yeah, that was kind of the biggest surprise for me. And then right after that, I mean, Dale, after taking Fletcher McDonald at number 9, the goaltender, he decided to take 2 defensemen with his, 2 of the next 3 picks. And I asked him about that. And, in his interview that, he did with us in the media, he said that he really wanted to build from the back out. So he started with getting the best goaltender in the draft class, number 1, securing that. And then he got, 2 really good skating defensemen, tough, big, 6'2" style defensemen that he felt could really help the team move the puck up the ice in the future. And then he started to add forwards. So knowing that you have Maddox and Liam, as your forwards of the future, he really wanted to get some defensemen that could potentially complement them and, for however long they're here with the team.
For sure. Now, tell me a little bit about this Fletcher McDonald, because, taking a goaltender that high is a big statement. Do you think he has the potential to be a franchise player, and maybe what can fans expect from him?
Well, I was talking to Max Paddock about this, and he said at the start of the year he was kind of like a projected 6th, 7th, 8th round pick at the start of the year, and then he just started just really taking off with things. And he was playing on not a very good team at CAC in Edmonton, and that was a team that was losing games 1-0. They could not score for their life. He was heavily getting outshot. In fact, in his league, he faced the most shots, 300 more shots than the next closest goaltender. And in the playoffs, he stopped, I think it was 93 of 96 total shots. In the playoffs, they lost both games 2-1 and 1-0. This is a guy that was giving up 2 or less every single night, and his team was still losing. I talked to Dale, Tristan, and Max, and they went and watched him a couple times this year, and some of our other Alberta scouts watched him quite a bit, and they were like, this guy reminds me of Carey Price. In fact, our Alberta scout, Andrew Archer, was drafted by the Montreal Canadiens back in the day and actually played in Laval with Montreal's AHL team with Carey Price, and he said that this guy really reminds him of Carey Price as far as, how poised he is in the net. He's 6'3", 200 pounds already at 14 years old. Could grow to 6'6", 6'7", from what I understand. He's already got the size and the strength at a very young age. And he plays the puck really well. Comes out of his net, very confident, is able to rip it around the glass, which always helps. If your goaltender can get that puck and move it quickly to the defenseman or even get it up to the forwards in transition, especially during a line change, it just allows your offense to burst up the ice that much better. So that's what I've been able to gather about Fletcher McDonald. So from the sounds of it, it seems like a pretty good pick by the Pats.
Well, yeah, if you're putting his name up there with guys like Carey Price, that's impressive. I know that he aims to model his own style of game after Jake Ottinger. So again, some pretty impressive names there. Yeah,
Jake Ottinger's a really good goalie. That's a guy that, went the college route. If you look at, goaltenders in the NHL, Canada has had a really tough time recently after Carey Price really developing elite goaltenders. You've seen the United States and some of the, the European countries like Sweden, Finland, and Russia really develop a ton of goaltenders, and that's because it's a position that takes a ton of time. So one of the reasons why I say that, Tegan, is that I think fans have to give Fletcher McDonald time, right? He's not going to play at 15, obviously, next year. He's going to have to play at U18. And then at 16, he probably comes in as a backup goaltender. You don't really see any 16-year-old goalies in the league, if not at all, as a starting goaltender. It's very rare. It really doesn't happen. And then at 17, he'll be the starting goaltender. And, 17 as a starting goaltender is tough. And then, by 18, he's ready to be the number one guy and hopefully be the best goaltender in the WHL. But it's a weird position. It's one that you can't predict. You look at, the top goalies in the NHL, it takes time to get there. Most of them are going the college route and spending a lot of years in the American League before, coming up and playing in the NHL. So I think Pats fans have to be patient with Fletcher McDonald, understanding that it's going to be, close to 3 years before he's the number one guy.
So staying with the WHL, I imagine you've been following along with the Prince Albert Raiders run to the final. So what's impressed you most so far about this series?
Well, the series is split at 1. I haven't had the chance to watch the games, but I've been following online and, following the scores. It's a really tight series. I do want to say I'm quite proud of Kelly Rempel, my colleague here, who I've done games with for the last 5 years, to have the opportunity to do color on TSN with Peter Labardius. I think that's awesome. But Prince Albert's a good team. I guess what stood out is that both teams are very systemly sound. They're structured, and honestly, I think this could be a 7-game series. Prince Albert will have the next 3 games on home ice, Tegan. So if they're able to win 2 of those 3 games, they're in good shape going back to Everett. But it's been a fun series so far, I think.
Oh, man, that barn is going to be absolutely insane up in PA. Oh, I would love to go up there.
Yeah, so would I. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, at least we can still watch it on TV. There's still ways.
Yeah.
It is kind of amazing, though, how once they get to this point, it is normally a rivalry team, so to speak, for the Regina Pats and their fans. But then as soon as they make it to the final, everybody's all on the bandwagon. Let's go.
Well, I don't know about that because, I guess your Prince Albert's a rivalry team, but I have a lot of respect for that staff. I think Ryan McDonald's an amazing coach. He had my vote for the WHL Coach of the Year. Every broadcaster gets a vote. I voted for Ryan McDonald, and a lot of respect goes out to Steve Hamilton and Everett. He won the award, and obviously he had a great season as well. But I think Ryan's amazing. Him and I have built a really strong relationship over the last 5 years in covering that team in the league. And he's the type of guy that we'll talk for about 15, 20 minutes before I even turn the mic on for a pregame interview. And as a young coach coaching baseball. He's a guy that I've gone to for a lot of advice and guidance and stuff like that because, he coached at the youth level before, working his way up to the WHL. And, obviously he played for the Pats, too, and played for the Prince Albert Raiders. He was a good player. He was actually involved in the Josh Harding trade back in the day, funny enough. Curtis Hunt, former Pats GM and coach, done a great job with that team. There's a lot of Pats ties there. Cliff Mapes was formerly the head of business with the Regina Pats for a long time. So there's a lot of ties in Prince Albert to the Regina organization, which is why I really enjoy spending time with that team and talking to them because they've come through Regina before.
Well, I think it's going to go 7 games as well, if I'm being honest here, and I wouldn't be upset about that because it just means more hockey.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, but baseball's around the corner, Tegan, isn't it?
It is, and I know you've expanded your role with the Regina Red Sox under new ownership, of course, the same ownership group that runs the Regina Pats, Queen City Sports and Entertainment. So I know you're a baseball guy. You won Grassroots Coach of the Year last year. So this has got to be pretty exciting for you personally to have more of an expanded role with the Regina Red Sox.
Yeah, obviously it's going to be nice to be around the field and spend time with Ry Pathakos and his staff, and obviously as you and I know Mitch McDonald pretty well, and Mitch has been nice enough to come out and help out with my baseball team a little bit. In fact, we have a game tonight at Lions Park, which is the field that he helps his dad with. So great baseball family there. And obviously, I've had the opportunity to get to know a lot of people with the Red Sox, Sharon Clark and Gary Brotzel over the last, 4 or 5 years that I've been volunteering with the team as a, fill-in play-by-play guy or color or just being at the field and stuff like that. And I know you like being at the field as well. It's a fun time. It's a great family atmosphere. I expect that will be the same atmosphere this year. And, the Red Sox are, I think, going to have a really good team. They've got some returning players. They've got, I do a lot of pitching lessons indoors over the course of the winter. And there's a couple players that I know that have been training in the city. So I've been able to see Colton Bank over the course of the winter really improve. So I'm looking forward to seeing what, he can do in his 3rd season with the Red Sox. He's still a young man at 20. And Rye's been able to recruit some really good hitters. So I think the Red Sox offense has a lot of really nice pieces.
So you having a bigger role, no pressure coming into a franchise that are the defending league champions.
I guess, yeah. I guess I have a little bit of an expanded role, kind of somewhat similar to what I would have done last year a little bit. Obviously a little bit more games this year compared to just kind of filling in for home games and stuff like that. But, it's an exciting time for Brand Sports and Entertainment to be able to run both franchises. But I really think that Rye and Gary have done a good job putting this team together. And, I really think the strength of this team will be their offense. I think the pitching staff is unknown. We'll have to wait and see on who comes and performs, based off how many innings they had in college and stuff like that. But I really do think that the Red Sox biggest strength, especially getting Brady Vye back from Point University, will really strengthen the team.
Well, and they're making signings all the time. It's always nice to see those local products coming here as well, because I know you were probably at some of those games in the playoff last season. It's just, there's nothing that beats a sold out Curry Field. It's one of the best atmospheres in the game.
It really is a fun atmosphere. I think the organization is working on doing improvements to the field and hopefully adding some more capacity as well, which would be great. I think some of those grandstands maybe need a little bit of work. I know that when people are sitting on them down the lines, it can be a little bit uncomfortable, but that's just kind of the beauty of that field and the history that it has. And, It's a field that's used by, the U18, AAA White Sox and Athletics and Wolfpack and stuff like that. So, obviously the senior league here, the Trappers use it as well. So, the Red Sox aren't the only team that uses that field. Last year we had the senior men's national championship at Curry Field. So it's a field that has seen a lot of really cool and fun games over the last couple of years. So, the WCBL is a big part of that field, but there are a lot of important, community teams that also play at that field as well. In fact, I'll be heading there tonight. I believe the U18 White Sox are playing there tonight, and I got to check out some of the kids that I know.
Nice. I like that. We'll bring a blanket because it's probably going to get cold later tonight.
I got a game too, so I got to finish my game first and then go there.
Gotcha. Always on the go. Dare I even bring it up? The Toronto Blue Jays?
Sure, go ahead. Okay. I'm fine to talk about it.
Okay. Making some roster moves, injury shuffles. Barger on the IL now. Lauer designated for assignment.
No surprise.
Yeah. So are we officially in that territory where people are allowed to say, oh, we're cooked?
No. What is it, 16-21 is the record? Is that correct, Keith?
I do believe so, yes.
Yeah, something like that. Well, Kirk needs to come back from injury, number one. They're starting to get healthy. Barger came back from injury over the weekend. I know they lost a tough one yesterday, and they went with the opener. Miles was awesome through 3 innings of work, and then I know Eric Lauer wasn't great. I don't think it was great what he did, kind of calling out John Schneider in the media, saying that he didn't like to be a reliever or opener or whatever he was upset about. But, they have some nice young pieces. Not too sure what they're going to do with Heineman or Valenzuela. I think Valenzuela, being younger, will stick. Heineman will get optioned or released, and Kirk will come back from injury. Vlad Guerrero's hitting .320 on the season, but he only has 2 home runs. Him and Ernie Clement have the same amount of home runs.
Which is wild.
Yeah.
I think people are maybe hitting the panic button a little too soon here. But I feel like not just Toronto sports fans, I'm saying this for all of Canada because it's the only Canadian team in the league, but it's either they're contenders or they're completely cooked. Throw the jersey out, light it on fire. You know what I mean? There's no in between.
I know. Yeah, the Jays, they have a good pitching staff, and I think they've got a really good chance to win this year, Tegan. I really do. I think they still got a lot left in the tank.
Okay, well, I like the positive attitude. I dig it. Well, I better let you run here because I've taken up far too much of your time already, and you have some baseball to go play. Well, thank you. I really appreciate this, Dante.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, we'll talk soon.